All content discussed on Sleepworks podcast are the individual opinions of Marlee Boyle, Leah Corkum, and Alexia Tedesco and should not be construed as personalized medical advice. By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. Consult your physician for any medical issues that you may be having. This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests on the pod or contributors to the podcast.
Hi, ladies. I'm back. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Lex. We missed you.
Yes, I'm so glad that you're back. A little sleep deprived, still catching up. I'm not sure if you...
Tell the listeners what you were doing.
Yeah, did you guys talk about that last week? I'm not even sure if you mentioned where I was.
We kept it a secret. We got arrested.
I was arrested by the Stampede. No, I was working at the Stampede. So it was 10 days of testing my sleep abilities, I would say.
Calgary Stampede for our international listeners.
The Calgary, the greatest outdoor show on earth that I didn't see at all. I only saw one tent. That was it. That's where I was working. But it was a wild time. And I definitely can say without a doubt, Leah, I will never be a shift worker. I am on Team Marlee. That is crazy, crazy sauce. I do not like working shift work. I do not like working nights. Nighttime is for sleeping. So that's where I'm at. I did it, survived, but no thank you.
I've learned how to manage it, of course, at this point. But yeah, it's a wild ride for someone who is as routine and kind of like scheduled as you normally are.
It's just so weird to be doing a job knowing like, oh, I should be sleeping right now. And then like seeing the sun come up. It's a really odd experience.
Yeah, it's unnerving. I feel uncomfortable in my night shifts now. I'm like, this is bad for my rhythms.
I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Something in me feels icky. That's how I felt. But you know what? Made it through. It was only 10 days or 11 days. So I know I was on a shortened and like heightened experience of that. And people that do work shift work probably don't do the amount of like hours or like shift changes back to back. Like there's hopefully some type of a mid shift range there, but I survived. I'm still, I feel like reacclimating. Is that a word? Reacclimating? Getting back into my normal routine, which is structured. And we're going to talk about that today because we had a question come in, which I think we can all relate to right now. Leah and I were both recently in the United States and can confirm there is also a heat wave happening south of the border and definitely across Canada. I know in Calgary, it's like 35 this week. It's been like 40 degrees in New Brunswick, where Marlee is since God knows when.
June. Yeah, which is for our American listeners or otherwise, what, like 90s, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Like we're melting.
100% humidity.
Yeah.
I checked because I was tossing and turning. So I was like, I went and I knew I was hot and I checked the weather network and it said it was 28 degrees. Feels like 37 and it was 11 p.m. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like what we bake at, all right? It's not what we're supposed to be. We're like baking ourselves. We're just like essentially low cook. We're sous-videing ourselves, I feel like. Slowly, low and slow temperatures rising can host a number of issues. But I think with that in mind, we did receive an email. So it says, "Hi, Dream Team. I am normally a pretty good sleeper. I have a decent bedtime routine. I am consistent with my sleep and keeping on schedule when I can. However, this summer has been a doozy." We can relate.
Yeah.
I am living without air conditioning right now, and I'm finding it unbearable. And it's really affecting my sleep. I can't afford to get an air conditioner at the moment. Can you please help me sleep in this heat?
Oof.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel this.
No AC. I don't know where this person is in the country, but regardless, it's going to be hot because we know it's hot everywhere right now.
Yeah.
So,
even if it's not pushing these really extreme high temperatures, when it's hot all day, even if it starts to cool down at night, the heat just builds in your house, I find, and like in your rooms when you don't have the circulation and you don't have AC. Oh,
And some of us just run hot.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
It's a real trying time for a hot runner.
365
Yeah.
days a year I run hot, and then in the summer I start cooking internally.
Yeah, I hear you. I've always been a hot person. And like when I was younger, it was just me and one of my sisters in the house. And she is the polar opposite. She's cold all the time. And it was just a constant battle between the two of us of like, we only had wood heat and we weren't allowed to touch the room dials for the baseboard. Like, don't touch that, stays off because we do not want to afford that. So there was no touching the electric heat.
Thermostat.
So it was like, right. So yeah, there was not a lot we could do, but luckily enough, we lived close to the ocean and there was quite a cool breeze. So opening the windows at night was really helpful, but not everybody has that option. And I'm kind of guessing this person, I don't know what we want to call her or him or whoever this is.
Give her a name, Lex.
I don't know. Hot Hannah. Hot Hannah.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Poor hot Hannah.
Hot Hannah in
yeah.
Montana. I don't know where that person is. Hannah, Montana.
Well, Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana.
Hot Hannah in Montana.
It's not. Well, I'm calling her Hannah Montana for the rest of the episode. She is not alone. And she is probably, if she didn't mention she has a bed partner, but if she is encountering that struggle that so many partners do have, which Leah and her sister had, is the temperature war. We are here to end the war. And the people that like it cool are the winners, obviously. But it's not just because that's my preference. It's actually our physiology. And so if you are struggling to sleep in the heat, it is because it is part of the process to fall asleep. We actually do need to cool down. And recommendations and research basically indicates that ideal temperature for a bedroom to sleep in is somewhere between 16 and 18 degrees Celsius, 18.6, I guess, degrees Celsius. So that is pretty cool. And our bedrooms do need to be cool and our bodies do need to cool down. So for those people that like to sleep hot, you crazy.
We do not endorse you.
Yeah,
We have
and that's not to say, of course, like people will say, like, I love it to be 25 degrees when I'm sleeping. Yeah, you can absolutely sleep when it's 20 degrees or 25 degrees. Will it be the optimal quality of sleep? Probably not, because your body does need to cool down. So we can sleep in all different kinds of conditions, but that quality isn't going to be there. So you might not feel as refreshed waking up from a sleep in a 25-degree room, or in Marlee's case in New Brunswick, a 30-degree room, 36-degree room. I don't know. Who knows what it is? Because it does build inside the room too. So even if it's 22 degrees outside, it could be even hotter in your room.
It's true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have AC. I think that was them. So I grew up in Ontario where everybody has air conditioning. Southern Ontario, if you don't have air conditioning, like there's something seriously wrong. Everybody has it. When we moved to Alberta, so Marlee and I moved out to Alberta, no one has AC out here. And it's because of the different climate. Obviously, it gets so cool in the evening that people are like, we'll just open the windows and it will be fine. It wasn't okay.
No AC and no pools. We were like, where are we?
What is this weird place? You guys just have ocean-fed rivers? Okay, I'll just go jump in, which is actually refreshing. Yeah, that's like actually yes, that does track. But it's true, and I feel like it's the same maybe out west in like BC, not as much. Maybe interior, 100% people have AC, but maybe on the coast, not so much. And in Nova Scotia, on the East Coast, I think a mix as well.
Yeah, and it really
because of that
depends.
cooler.
I mean, in my little town, you can drive, a few kilometers down the road and be in a totally different climate. So where I grew up happened to be on this certain area that the current of the ocean created a cool breeze out in the evening. Where I live now, just a few minutes away from there, not the same. It stays hot. It stays 30 degrees sometimes until, like Marlee said, 11 p.m. So I'm blessed to have air conditioning now. I didn't for a while, but it is a game changer. For me, I actually use the dehumidifier because the humidity is a lot of the issue here. I find like in certain places that you live, humidity will be even more of an issue than heat because it's just that smothering.
I find
like
the humidity uncomfortable because I find it makes me too hot and too cold.
Yeah.
Moisture. Too
I
much
have
moisture.
I have Raynaud's in my hands, and even if it's like 23, but humidity outside, I find like if I touch anything cold, it just I have to put a sweater on because it's damp.
Mm.
Yeah, it's kind of damp.
I
Yeah, it's
hate
a
my hair.
weird.
Yeah, it's
But
a weird climate.
yeah, I mean
Marlee's
the
made
good
for the desert.
yeah,
I need to be in a drier area.
but the good thing about Hot Hannah, Hot Hannah in
Hannah in
Montana,
Montana.
is
Hannah
that
Montana.
she does have a good routine, which is like she has a good routine, she has a good schedule that she sticks to most of the time. That is putting you many steps ahead of a lot of people. We can tend to let our routines kind of ebb and flow, but if you can be consistent with your routine, particularly when you're struggling with sleep, like in the summer when it gets hotter, sticking to that routine and keeping things in place that you always do is really helpful. So that's going to help you. So
Why is that helpful? Maybe we need to explain that. Like, why is keeping a routine helpful
yeah, I mean, it's just
for her? Or why
important.
is she ahead? I guess.
Well, our bodies love routines. Our bodies love routines and schedules. We have a circadian rhythm, which is also called our body clock. So, all of the behaviors and things that we do during the day, throughout the day, in the evening, all of those things help to set that body clock and kind of cue our body to know what is going to be happening. Is it a sleep time? Is it a wake time? What normal things do we do during that time? So, the more routine we are, the more expectation we set for our body clock, the higher the chance that we're going to be able to sleep well because our body goes, oh, these are the things that we do before we go to sleep. So we're preparing our brain for sleep. So a better chance of falling asleep and sleeping deeply with a routine. So when you're sleeping at all different times and eating at all different times and getting light exposure at all different times, it's confusing for that clock and it doesn't get set in the way that it would with a specific routine. So by keeping that consistent all year round, we can actually create a more efficient body clock and that can help us sleep better.
And I think too, to not overlook the benefit of regularity, you're less likely to go into periods of poor sleep already having a sleep deficit, essentially. If you
Yeah.
are routine as possible, when you encounter these inevitable periods of poor sleep, you're way more resilient to it if you are well rested going into it, and being able to wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day and keep that regularity can help ensure you're not going into these periods with even worse sleep.
So Hot Hannah in Montana, having that predictive bedtime routine, excellent. 10 stars. You
Yeah.
get accolades for that. But how do we address the heat issue? What
Right.
are our tips and tricks? What are we going to do? So yes, you have everything down pat. You've got the sleep mask. You're using the white noise. You've got the earplugs. Your bedroom is dark. Now what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that those are all the things that Hannah's doing. Sometimes
Yeah.
people can overlook the importance of that. And when it comes to temperature, I think a hugely important thing, if you don't have control over your temperature, is the dark room. Because if we're letting sun pour into our room through the window all day, it's going to become a little cookhouse. So as much as we like to wake up in the morning and open our curtains and let the light shine in, and that's a great thing, in the summer, maybe avoid doing that. Leave the curtains down. If you have blackout curtains, perfect. That's awesome for summer. It's awesome for all year round.
A lot of
Lock it
blackout
up.
curtains are, they help with climate control as well. So
Yeah.
they are double paneled to keep the heat out. So I'm big on any tool that we can use that has two purposes or has
Yes.
more than one purpose. And blackout curtains, you're hitting two things with sleep hygiene. You're hitting temperature and light. Same with a fan. So obviously a fan seems pretty obvious, but it's not. I actually just met with a client a couple hours ago, and he was struggling with his sleep for years. And he's like, I've been sleeping better in the last 2 weeks. Do you want to know what I did? I got a fan. And
What?
yeah, it seems obvious.
Amazing.
Shocking.
It can seem obvious, but not everyone has tried it. But a fan, obviously, it can help circulate the temperature of the room or the air in the room and regulate the temperature a little bit better and make you feel cooler. But it's also a double strategy because it's also mitigating noise. And that's actually where he was finding the benefit was he lives in an apartment building in a busy city with lots of street noise. And he was finding the fan noise was very helpful for that. And he hadn't even considered, oh, I'm actually cooler too. And that
Yeah.
wasn't even the original purpose. So it seems obvious to us. I know we can have a chuckle about it, but
Get a fan, Hannah. Get a fan.
Yeah.
Fan.
And you know, some people think like, I don't like the fan. I know like my partner doesn't like the fan blowing on her face and that's uncomfortable. And I've heard that from other people too. I don't like the feeling of something blowing on my face. Don't blow it on your face. Put it on a table across the room, put it on your nightstand and aim it at your body. And just to kind of let that kind of wind be blowing over you and blowing the heat from the blankets off of you. But yeah, fan, you're right, dual purpose, which is great. Blackout curtains, dual purpose there. And just want to say, you know, curtains are not the most inexpensive thing either, but there's other things that you can do. A fan is relatively cheap. So most people, I think, can afford to add a fan in the mix, or maybe they have one that they can use. But so curtains, you can get them fairly inexpensive at IKEA, in some other small department stores, but you can also use like a dark towel, a dark blanket or comforter and tack it up over your window or hang it up over your window and really close off all the edges of that to keep the heat from coming in around that. You can even use, I've heard of people using black garbage bags, foil.
That's if you really want to increase the property value in your neighborhood. Definitely
Yeah.
put some garbage bags and tin foil up
Yeah.
around.
Your neighbors will
love it.
Yeah, maybe put it over the blinds so that
Yeah,
it's
on the
not as
inside, not on
visible.
the outside.
But hey,
Yeah.
listen, it's your health, it's your mental health, it's your physical health, it's your sleep health. So it's important. And you know what? You can take it
Sleeping-
up with your neighbors.
sleeping
What other
well.
what other well, we'll stay on tools before we get into strategies. What other tools do we use that could be, an investment
Okay.
to
Can I say one that I used when
Yeah.
I was living without AC in Calgary for I had the hottest apartment ever, mustard and ketchup building.
I
It was
remember.
it was horrible. And this is a
You left
form.
your patio door open.
Yes, I was
I remember.
literally, I was like, Gabby. And that's why I eventually broke down and got a portable AC unit because it was ridiculous. It was like what you're experiencing right now, Marlee. But what I would do, my personal favorite is I would take a face cloth, I would run it under cool water. I would literally put it on my head. And I would
Yeah.
sleep with it on my head. And it was nice and cool. It immediately cooled down my body temperature because I don't know, it was on my head. But I've also heard of people doing this, putting their pillows in the freezer or something, which seems like a little bit, I don't know if it releases moisture or something. I don't know. I've never done that personally. I was just a fan of a cold face cloth, literally fold it up and put it on my forehead as I fall asleep. And it's not so wet that it's soaking your
Yeah.
pillow or anything. So if it falls off, it's fine. And it was
Yep.
just a nice, immediate cool down method, which I
I'm
swore by.
legitimately gonna try that tonight. I haven't tried that yet, but
Oh
I
my
might.
God, Marlee. Yes, absolutely. Do that.
Put it in
It's
the freezer. Put it in the freezer for a little
yeah,
while.
get a frozen one. You're gonna melt it immediately just with your body temperature. So you might
Yeah.
need a little extra.
I've even heard of people doing, and I've actually tried it. 'Cause remember that little cooling box that you had, Marley, where you put ice cubes in it and had a little fan? It was like a quote unquote air conditioner. Yeah, like a bowl with ice in it with a fan blowing over it. It does actually add a little bit of cool air. If you're even just to get you to sleep initially can be really helpful. Get creative. For
Dylan used to
sure.
do that. Budget Dylan used to do that. He was
Yeah.
he would have an AC unit. It was when he was working up north, but he had a AC unit, which in the summer, because it was mostly because it was dry. He was trying to introduce moisture into the air, but he would keep a kettle boiling in the winter just for moisture, and then in the summer put the ice
Oh
in
my
front of
God.
a fan. But it works.
But
It worked.
also, I mean, if you have a little bit more in your budget, there are tons of cool products now. I have cooling sheets, a cooling duvet, which I really love the cooling duvet. We have pillows in our Amazon store
And blanket.
and blankets for cooling, but the pillows are really awesome. They're actually two-sided. So when you flip it, there's a cool side and a warmer side in the winter. It's not really warmer, but it's not specifically cooling, but they're really nice and it is notable. And that cooling side of the duvet has a cooling side and it is very comfortable. And it does make a difference because even just once it gets kind of hot in one spot, you can just shift yourself around a little bit. Those products are coming out all the time. There's tons of new cooling products. If you have a big budget, there's mattresses with cooling technology or mattress pads with cooling technology for those
If your
menopausal
budget
women.
if your budget's that big though, get an air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
Well, You're
Gonna
right.
need
You're
some
right.
movement.
For the ladies in menopause, get those cooling mattress pads, they're out there.
So hot Hannah in Montana, we're assuming that she's got a dark bedroom environment, but if that isn't part of her sleep routine, definitely make sure that just
Yeah.
because of the dual purpose, like you mentioned, the fan, because it's a dual purpose,
Yeah.
and these strategies to maybe mitigate some of that heat, and it will definitely help.
And
from
if
that
Hannah can't invest in cooling technology, sheets and blankets and pillows and all of those things, just go with a lower price point bamboo sheet. Bamboo, like bamboo cotton, I think it's what's referred to, is a cooler, lighter material, breathable. And then my personal favorite that doesn't cost anything is Sleep Naked.
Yeah.
Get naked. Yeah, I know this is counterproductive, and maybe this isn't like people can relate. I find I am hotter when I sleep naked, but
Yeah, I am too. I
I
don't
don't
like
understand.
sleeping naked.
I feel like my
Like my
body's like, "Wha-" and it's just like,
my body's touching itself too much. Like if there's too much touching of skin. It's hot everywhere. I don't want
need
my
a
legs to
I need a
touch. I don't.
silky barrier. I need like a silky
Yeah.
barrier. But
Yeah.
I
Mm,
do. Maybe a pantless. I'll go pantless, but not
Any
sure.
barrier causes me to sweat more. I use no top sheet. I use a fitted sheet, no top sheet, cooling blanket, and no clothes. Like I am warm.
Trailblazer.
And
Trailblazer.
that is in the dead of winter too. And I'll have the window open in the winter.
She can be sweating. She can have the window open in the winter, wake up with no clothes on, barely any blankets, and still be sweating. It's
Totally.
impressive.
Okay, the other
very
thing I
warm.
think we should mention though is um something very common that I know, Leah, you've mentioned your partner does to cool down, which is take a cool shower before bed. But what would you both say to that?
Yeah, I've had that argument a time or two before. When we're talking strategies, those are products. When we get into strategies,
Yeah, you
things
get
you can
into
actually
strategies,
do.
and I'll explain the science behind it and how it relates to our circadian rhythm.
So
The
Marley's ready to
actual
go.
strategy, yeah, the actual strategy of a cool shower before bed is not ideal. And as much as it feels counterintuitive to have a hot shower or a hot bath on like a 30 some degree day when you're already sweating and you're super hot, that's the best option is to have a hot bath or
Warm.
shower
Warm.
before bed. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hot, just warm. Warm in the
Well,
summer.
Not cold.
Yeah.
We're not trying to do ice baths
Warm.
before bed.
Yeah. Yes,
Warm,
exactly.
warm
So
shower.
a nice shower, a nice warm or hot shower before about an hour and a half ish to 2 hours before bed is ideal. And Marlee, why don't you explain the science?
This isn't just like our recommendation and like we think you'll feel cooler. This is actually a strategy that's used in circadian science to help with one of our circadian processes. So we have multiple circadian rhythms, but the one that we commonly think about when it's sleep is our sleep wake cycle. And we don't think about our body temperature changing, but our body temperature is on a circadian rhythm as well. So circadian just means about a day. So these are processes that want to happen in our systems in 24 hours. And temperature is something that fluctuates over a 24-hour period based on our circadian rhythm, completely independently of our sleep. So even if you're not sleeping at all, you're suffering with the worst insomnia, or you're sleeping 16 hours a day with hypersomnia, or whatever the case is. If your circadian rhythm isn't trained, you're going to have this fluctuation in your body temperature because our bodies actually change by almost 2 degrees throughout a 24-hour period. We often don't think about our core body temperature changing unless we have a fever or hypothermia, but we do actually fluctuate our body temperature slightly over the 24-hour period. And a rise in body temperature is a strong signal to our body to feel awake and alert. And a decrease in our body temperature is a strong signal to our body to feel sleepy. So we can actually use this information and use our circadian rhythm and manipulate it using this hot shower, hot bath, manipulate our body temperature to help support our circadian rhythm so we can actually fall asleep faster. And there's some solid research and some great studies that have been done. And it does show that this strategy does improve sleep latency, which is how long it takes you to fall asleep. For me personally, it does help with that. I have a hot shower, hot bath every single night before bed because I'm a hot sleeper. I need to do all the things. But I also find the quality of my sleep is really what I notice more than anything. And it's when I've gone to bed without having that hot shower, hot bath, I am tossing and turning. I'm more restless. aware I'm awake more. And I know it's because my body's trying to dissipate more heat because our body temperature actually decreases as we're getting into deep sleep. And if our room is warm or our bedclothes are too heavy or our pajamas are too thick or whatever, our bodies are going to sweat to try to release that heat to cool down. And that'll often wake us up. So what happens with our core body temperature is in the very early morning hours, our core body temperature is at its lowest. So that's when our highest propensity to fall asleep. So if anyone out there has ever struggled to fall asleep all night and then like right before, an hour or two before their alarm clock goes off in the morning, then that's when they fall asleep and they're like, damn it, I just fell asleep now. And now my alarm clock's going off and waking me up. It's because our highest sleep drive is actually at our lowest body temperature. But then it starts to rise in the very early morning hours, which is part of the process to wake us up and make us feel more alert. Again, this is happening even if we aren't sleeping. So for Leah on night shift, I used to see this when I did a brief stint in shift works. You'd walk out to the nurse's station at 4 o'clock in the morning and they're all out there with blankets around them shivering because even though they're awake and their circadian rhythms are kind of messed up, their body temperature is still on a rhythm. It's still following one of the circadian rhythms that's telling their body to have the lowest body temperature point at that time of the 24-hour cycle. So as it starts to rise, it wakes us up. It corresponds with a little rise in cortisol and all the other chemicals that help wake us up. And our body temperature will continue to rise all morning and into the afternoon. And then we have a bit of a plateau in the afternoon in the rise in our body temperature. So even if we haven't slept at all, that rise in our body temperature is going to get us going. So if any of you have ever not slept all night and then started your day, usually we can function pretty well and no sleep for a while in the morning because that rise in our body temperature is sending those signals to be awake. So that plateau that happens, it usually for most of us, we experience it around 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And a lot of us relate to this as like a lull in energy or a dip in our awakeness throughout the
Or
day.
time for another coffee for a lot of people.
Or look at that. It's called a circadian low. And the reason is because our body temperature plateaus there. And so we do feel the effects of that. We feel that lull in energy. And then our body temperature continues to rise after that until around roughly, for most of us, it's around 6 p.m. This time is kind of based on a typical circadian rhythm. Continues to rise. And then it starts to slowly decrease as our evenings onsetting. And then we get this kind of steep decrease in our body temperature as we're falling asleep. And it's that steep decrease as we're falling asleep that we can manipulate by heating our bodies up 1 to 2 hours before bed. And the way that we do that by submerging ourselves in hot water is our core temperature is carried through our blood. So when we get into hot water, our bodies are trying to stay cool. So it brings large amounts of blood flow to the surface of our skin. So it's right below our skin. And then when we get out of the hot shower, hot bath, or the warm shower or warm bath, or the hot tub, if you're lucky, your blood is right at the surface of your skin. So you're exposed to the air and you can actually cool your body down and dump a lot of heat quickly, which sends a strong signal to your body. And it's like, oh, I'm getting cold quick. It's time to go to sleep. And so as long as your hands and feet are warm and your extremities aren't trying to warm up and your body's able to cool down, it will help you fall asleep faster and possibly even help you get into deeper sleep.
And same logic, then that would make sense why we want to do cold plunges, ice baths in the morning, because it's going to heat our bodies up. Boom, that's the energy. It's not actually from the cold, it's actually from the body heating ourselves up. Wow, I just learned something also too. I feel like I may have already learned that or know that, but that really just clicked for me.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. This makes total sense. Wow.
Yeah.
It feels very counterintuitive when you just hear a hot shower, hot bath before bed. It's like, I'm already hot. I'm trying to.
Or when you wake up in the morning and you feel really cold and you're like, a cold plunge? That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Rewire that thought process. But I mean, there's a reason why it's an hour to 2 hours. I even find for myself before bed, I even find for myself 1 hour is not enough time. If I do a hot shower, hot bath of an hour before bed, I'm still sweating when I get into bed. I really need like at least an hour and a half or a little bit more in order to actually have that full thermal dump, or else I get in bed and I can just feel the little beads of sweat on my nose.
Not a big like nudist advocate, but also getting out of the hot shower. Let yourself just air dry if you can. Let
Air
your-
dry in front of a fan.
Yeah,
How about
let it-
that?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
I go in my room, turn on the ceiling fan. That was a visual.
We'll let you listeners visualize that one.
But you gotta cool off. I
Yes.
highly encourage it.
Standing starfish.
Let it happen, guys.
Yes, let it
Bring us sleep.
out. So, Hot Hannah, I think we've given you a few things to think about. Really optimizing, keep those bedroom curtains dark and closed all day to keep the heat out. Using a fan, using cooling technology if you can get it. If not, go what is it? Discount Dylan?
Budget Dylan.
Budget Dylan.
Garbage bags and cold face cloths. That is good.
Yeah, cold face cloths, bowls of
Something for
ice.
everybody.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of things you can do. It's not all or nothing. You don't have to throw everything out the window because you can't have air conditioning or something. There's always something that you can do to improve it. And every little thing that you do toward improving your sleep in the heat will benefit you in the long run. So keep that routine, add a couple new things, Hot Hannah, and you'll be cooling down in no time.
And Hannah never mentioned this, but just thinking about what other people don't think about, but hope she's not doing any cardiovascular exercise before bed and driving up her
Yeah.
core body temperature either. So
Don't exercise. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah, keep your exercise for the
sleep.
morning time during heat waves, people.
Yes.
Yeah, much earlier. Morning workouts, morning ice plunges, evening meditation, and warm baths and showers. That's how we want to structure our day. But I think that's great. I learned things today. So yeah, like success. That image alone of Marlee standing starfish.
You guys can think about that.
That's hilarious. I'm gonna do it tonight. I'm gonna do it tonight.
I have a powerful ceiling fan too. Like it's to breathe.
Hair blowing in the wind.
I'm blow drying my hair at the same time with my. I love a dual purpose tool.
Dual purpose. Oh,
Yes.
makes sense.
Well, we hope you sleep well and stay cool out there, sleepers. Or
Yes.
is that what we're calling you guys?
We don't have
what was
a
your
name.
name? I was calling them sleepers.
Sleepers.
Yeah, what was yours, Lex? Dream Queens? No.
I think it was Dream Queens or Sleepwalkers or I don't know. We were like,
Sleepwalker.
we're gonna mix it up. We're gonna call them something different every week.
All right.
But let us know if you have an amazing cool down tip that works. Let us know because
Or
we're
yeah.
always interested.
If you have a sleep question that you're not ready maybe to book the appointment, but you want to send the email, put podcast in the subject line and email hello@sleep-works.com and send us your sleep dilemma and maybe you'll hear it on the pod.
Sounds great. All right. Thanks, ladies. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, sleep well, everyone.
Wow. J. Cole.
Please.